Hey everyone, welcome to my journal entry on Gunfire Reborn, an off-the-cuff series I'm starting where we just talk about games that I've been playing in my spare time or movies I've seen and just want to share my thoughts on. This won't be an in-depth review or a analysis or breakdown. Nah, this is just think of it as a friend talking to the homies about this cool thing they just picked up. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. I don't know why I would say that if it's just a convo, but you get the gist. Gunfire Reborn is a Steam-only game as of right now that's in early access, unfortunately, and it has a interesting system. It's a roguelike first-person shooter where you're constantly switching between randomly generated enemy types and weapons and skills and talent scrolls that you equip throughout the course of your procedural generated journey, I guess is the better word for it. And you play as up to 3 different heroes. You have a dog, a cat, and a bird, all with their own special skills. For example, the cat can throw an energy orb, it freezes opponents, or can turn into an elemental fireball or whatever, depending on what you have equipped. The dog can dual wield weapons, which is awesome. The bird can launch into enemies with his talons and recover shields and stuff through melee attacks, and it's a really cool concept. Now, you have to slowly build yourself up and unlock all these things. That's kind of the point of the roguelike elements. You have to keep replaying it, and to unlock all sorts of new weapons and tricks and all that jazz, you have to play the course of the game. You know, you have to kill a certain amount of enemies, like 10 or 5 enemies or 20 enemies or whatever it may be, to unlock new weapon types, and you have to do this and that to unlock new talent scrolls. You get the gist. It's really fun. It's an awesome roguelike system because the maps pretty much stay the same. You kind of know exactly what type of maps you're going to get into. That's my only gripe with the game, is the maps repeat a ton. Like, once you go in there, you kind of know exactly what you're going to get. It seems like it kind of generates through 3 map types, and some of them can be pretty lengthy and you know, wave-based enemies and stuff like that. Like, they'll just do 4 waves of enemies and then you go into another room and it's just a quick cleanup, and then, you know, you exit the dungeon. Or sometimes it's literally just one room and you exit. Like, the game kind of forgot to load extra stuff in, and those are the most frustrating ones, because if you're speedrunning, it's great, but if you're trying to build your equipment up and get ready for that final boss, who is really difficult, by the way, you're not going to come in like prepared at all, and honestly, you might as well just restart your run. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, that's my only gripe with the game. The core gameplay is sick, okay? The core gameplay is really fun. It's snappy. You start off with a standard kind of revolver pistol, which is always awesome because you got this satisfying kind of click, clack, right? When you shoot your gun. Seeing those crits and headshots and the sounds they make is, oh, it's so good. The sound design for the weapons and all that, they just sound excellent. The music is pretty, you know, average. It's all right. It's got that kind of Chinese mythology vibe going for it, so it's very, you know, stringy and stuff like that. So, you know, that's whatever. But the core gameplay and sound design is really great. The weapons are super unique. They go from your standard, you know, shotguns, rocket launchers, assault rifles, SMGs. You guys get the gist. But they all have their own, like, sidearms and abilities. Once you start getting to those green or super rare weapons or whatever, it gets really awesome. Like, there's a gun that's literally just called Hell, right? And it's a gun that's like some demon thing, and when you reload it, it eats your bullets, right? And it like licks its mouth after eating it, like yum. And its special inscription is when you shoot enemies, if you get a crit or a headshot, it'll go through. So it's like a far out shotgun. Like, you could use it as a ranged shotgun, which is awesome. There's another shotgun called the Illusion, which lets you hold it down continuously for up to 24 to 36 bullets, depending on what inscriptions and bonuses you have. And it'll start kind of slow with the rate of fire, and then it just turns into this automatic beast that's kind of like Roadhog's ultimate. If you ever played Overwatch, is the best way to describe it, but all the time, you know what I mean? And all sorts of other extremely crazy cool weapons. You know, my personal favorite was the Justice gun, which was a fire lizard that shoots flame grenades that you have to activate with the click of the right mouse button, and all sorts of other creative weapons. I mean, there's just a ton of cool stuff here. Now, I don't know the tier list for the weapons. There are some really OP ones that I just had to lean off of using. Those being the daggers. They seem super broken. You have these like flame daggers or poison daggers. I think there's a shock dagger, I don't remember. But you throw it at an enemy and you basically inflict them with either poison or fire, and if you get the fire one, it does mini explosions, and some of them have an inscription where if you kill an enemy and they explode, it'll chain the explosion, so like a whole group could just be wiped of small grunt like enemies because they're all blowing up and dying instantaneously. The downside is you have to hit headshots with it or else you just lose. It's not worth it. The damage output is very minimal, but the crit bonus is so worth it that if you have good aim, you're pretty much in there, you know. There's all sorts of really sick weapons in the game with each elemental types, you know, coming through. You have poison or acid, I guess they call it, which slows down enemies and chips away at their health. You have shock damage, which is great for taking down enemy shields. You have fire damage, which is good at melting the flesh, aka their green health bar. You get the gist. So it's fun. It's got a lot of really sick, you know, things to help make the game feel really unique. All the weapon types are just super diverse. You never feel like you're going in there doing the same thing over and over. And I really enjoy mainly how each character that you unlock as you play throughout the game is just their own. They have their own unique abilities, and it makes repeat playthroughs just that much more fun because you could go in there and clear it with pretty much whoever you want depending on what kind of suits your needs. Like, do you want to play back and snipe and all that cool stuff? You want to play the cat where you can freeze opponents, keep them bunched up together, go for some quick headshots, hopefully chain some stuff together with grenades, you know, that kind of thing. And then you have the dog if you want to play super aggressive. You got the dual wield, you're double akimboing, you know, it's lit. It's really cool. I definitely enjoy the attention to detail. I think the enemy types are really cool. The designs are sick. You got, especially when you get to the third level, there's a lot of really awesome looking like sea type monsters. There's like catfish with sniper rifles and stuff like that. It's great. And the desert level has these like foxhounds that they go cloak and they go invisible and they have snipers and stuff. Like it never gets too repetitive or feels the same, you know. And I think that's a pretty beautiful thing for a roguelike FPS because, you know, you go into each world and like in their own levels they can repeat a little bit, but they're still unique enough from everywhere you're going so you don't feel like you're just fighting the same enemy types or variations. You're actually fighting like different people that do different things, you know, which is awesome. So overall, the game's really great in that regard. It is punishing. However, it is very, very difficult. Sometimes you'll just get swarmed with gunfire and bullets and all sorts of nonsense is flying on the screen and you die and you have to revive yourself with your soul essence, which we'll talk about a little bit after this, and it can get very punishing, and the boss fights are definitely up there in that regard. I think the ghost ship one is just ridiculously difficult, but it's still a ton of fun. I think the boss fights are really cool. You can even unlock some secret ones depending on how well you're playing within a given world or how fast you clear it, which is really, really cool. There's like a giant golem one you'll fight in the first world depending on how well you clear it out. Now again, it's early access, so a lot of stuff is up to be changed, and it's only what, $12 right now. So if any of the stuff you're seeing, your sounds good, then yeah, you should probably pick it up. It's definitely worth it. But overall, it's a really awesome game, and I definitely recommend it. You should probably most definitely pick it up. To double back to what I said with the soul essence, as typical with roguelikes, I guess you guys can probably put two and two together. You kill enemies, you gain their soul essence, and upon dying, you can either use it to revive yourself or end your current run and go fulfill your talent tree, which lets you unlock stuff like upgrade your health when you go into the next run, or permanently for your next, you know, couple runs, or you know, etc, your ammo, starting ammo, you guys get the gist. So there's all sorts of tiny things you can kind of bulk your character up for subsequent runs, and that's kind of the whole point of soul essence, or you could just use it to revive yourself. There's also ways you can store a bunch of soul essence for next time, which can get really broken. You can store up to like 500 towards the end, which is ridiculously good if you're just gonna go farm talent trees and stuff, which is what I did. And yeah, it's really awesome. I like it a ton. Overall, Gunfire Reborn is sick. You should pick it up. You should play it. And if you like first-person shooters and cool kind of like Chinese mythology stuff, and you want to support solo indie devs and all that good stuff, then yeah, give this one a shot. It's definitely worth it. That's all for me. Young Falcon signing out. Thank you guys for listening to my conversation on Gunfire Reborn. And excuse me, yeah, have a good day. Yeah. See you guys later. Peace.